together, bound by you, our tie that binds. Gracious Lord, help us to hear your message this morning, to be comforted by its words, to be encouraged by its words. May we live into the church that you have called us to be. For this we pray. Amen. Our scripture lesson this morning is not always the easiest one to preach in modern times, especially in the United States, because if you heard the words of our scripture this morning, you heard how the early church would sell everything that they had, and they would kind of pool all of their resources together to take care of everyone else. And in many ways, it would remind us of some of the ideals of communism that our country has fought so long and hard against. But I think that the important thing that to be garnered from the scriptures this morning is not necessarily the personal property aspect, so much as it is how the early church acted as one. In one heart and one soul. They worked together to make sure that all of the needs of the people, all of the needs of the members of church were met. That no one was left behind, no one was left struggling. And sometimes that even means that in our modern church we need to reflect on our own ministries and things and begin to think about how we as churches operate within our ministries. Do certain people claim ownership over certain ministries or feel that they should take charge and that all control should be theirs? Or do they allow the ministries to be the ministries of the church, open for all to kind of have input in, to make the decisions for, open for all to share the power and the responsibility? When I was in seminary, I was a part of a church that had a wonderful mission. They had a wonderful ministry that they did, and this lovely little old lady ran this particular mission, and it did a lot of good over the years. By the time that I was helping this church out and kind of assisting them as a youth director, the ministry had kind of begun to taper off a little bit. You see, the lady who ran it felt that it was her ministry, but she had gotten to the point in her life where she was in her mid-90s and she no longer could always get to church, and she no longer could always be there and kind of run the ministry, but she refused to let it do anything unless she directly gave the word for it to happen, unless she made the decision. And so week after week that she wasn't there, the ministry, which was meant to go out and to feed people and to help assist other seniors in their homes, sat unused because she was not there to decide who was getting and who was getting what food this week and where people were going and how the care was going to happen. And when the church tried to get other people involved into this mission, into this ministry, she wouldn't let them be a part of it. When this lovely woman ended up passing away, this ministry of hers died with her. She had held on to it with so much control for so long that it became wrapped up into her and her identity, and without her, it ceased to exist. I think the work of the church is a work that is beyond just one congregation or one person's ministry, that as a church as the Church Universal, we are called to be one. And that means that even in all of our various ministries, whether worship or whether missions, whether fundraisers, whatever it may be, we are called to work together and to come to common agreement on how things should happen. One of my favorite things to do now as pastor is to work with a worship team to help design worship. That each time we sit down, I am able to give them my sermons and the scriptures, but it's really the group of anyone who wishes to come that gets to kind of help decide the hymns, that help get to decide worship. And I think that's a wonderful start. But even worship is more than just the music, and that as we grow together as congregations, as we grow in our relationship with each other, I would love to see worship opened up even more to the input and to the power that is within you all. That I think each of you have gifts that you can potentially add to worship, whether that's being an usher or a greeter, or whether that's reading the scriptures from the front, whether that's helping to serve communion or offering up prayers. That there's something about each of our ministries that is meant to be opened and shared and used as one. As a church, as the church, our purpose is to be the bride of Christ in the world, to lead others to coming to know Christ, to making disciples. And we can't do that alone. No one of us can help make a fully developed disciple of Jesus Christ by ourselves. Christ gave us the example when He created 12 disciples, and when He created even more than that, as we read in the gospel lessons how He sent out the 70 and the larger numbers, that when we work as a church, we are meant to work together in community, to build each other up and to build up others, to welcome others. Part of our service today is to acknowledge the people in our churches who have been coming, but who have not been fully integrated into membership, who have not been offered the opportunity to take their membership vows and be fully welcomed into the family, that up until now, they've been a part of us. But they didn't have the opportunity to make that claim for themselves before the congregation. Today we get to rectify that. We get to open up our membership rolls. We get to open up our families, to invite them in, to let them be a part of who we are, to let them be one with us as we are all one together in Christ. May we this day know the church as being one. May we know each other as family, as always as the people who will be there for us when we are in need, as the people who we can turn to when we need help and support, as the people who will walk beside us as we struggle through life and try to walk with Christ. Amen.